Most property abroad only gives you a holiday home, but in a few countries, the right purchase can unlock something much bigger: residency, tax advantages, or even a second passport. Not every country gives all three. That is the trap. Some are residency plays, some are tax plays, and one country on this list can still turn real estate into actual citizenship. These are 5 countries where property can reshape your life abroad in 2026, ranked from weakest to strongest. Starting with the European candidate country, most people still overlook: Montenegro. Here is the thing about Montenegro that shocks people. It uses the euro. It sits on the Adriatic coast. It looks like Croatia and Italy had a secret love child that nobody found out about. And it is an official European Union candidate country, meaning the trajectory here is membership in the European Union. Buying real estate in Montenegro can support a temporary residency permit. And if Montenegro enters the European Union in the coming years, that residency becomes a foothold inside the bloc. That is a massive potential upside baked into a country most people cannot even find on a map. The property route works like this: purchase real estate, register a company, or apply through the property ownership pathway, and secure a temporary residence permit that gets renewed annually. It is not automatic citizenship. Nobody is handing out passports at closing. But it is a legal, documented residency in a euro-denominated European country on the doorstep of European Union integration. And that is the pattern to watch in this video. The cheap routes usually give residency. The tax routes require careful structure. And only one country turns property into a passport. Here is the catch though. As of 2026, the effective property threshold has climbed significantly. A couple of years ago, modest apartments in coastal towns could anchor an application. Now, the practical minimum has risen, and budget units in Podgorica are not going to cut it for anyone wanting a smooth approval process. Think more along the lines of quality coastal property or commercial real estate. The bureaucracy has tightened alongside the prices. Tax-wise, Montenegro keeps it relatively straightforward. Corporate tax sits at 9%. Personal income tax is low by European standards. It is not a zero-tax jurisdiction, but compared to Western Europe, the savings are substantial. Lifestyle. The Bay of Kotor alone is worth the research. Medieval towns, clear Adriatic water, mountains dropping straight into the sea. Cost of living remains a fraction of neighboring Croatia or Italy, though that gap is closing fast as more digital nomads and investors discover the place. Biggest catch? European Union accession is not guaranteed on any timeline. It could be 3 years, it could be 10. Betting a property purchase on that outcome is speculative. And the residency permit requires renewal, which means ongoing compliance. Montenegro is the speculative Europe play. Albania is the cheaper shock. Less polished, less predictable, but much easier to enter. Number 4, Albania. Nobody expects Albania on a list like this, and that is exactly why it deserves attention. Albania has no official minimum property price requirement for foreigners looking to support a residency application. Read that again. There is no published government threshold saying a property must cost a certain amount. In practice, buying an apartment in Tirana or along the Albanian Riviera and then applying for residency through legal channels is a viable route that people are actively using. Apartments in Tirana can still be found for $60,000 to $80,000. Coastal properties in Saranda or Vlora are similarly affordable. For someone coming from London, New York, or Sydney, those numbers feel almost fictional. The residency pathway involves purchasing property, registering ownership, and applying for a residence permit. It is renewable and can eventually support a path toward permanent residency, and, much further down the line, citizenship eligibility. But that citizenship timeline is long, generally requiring years of continuous legal residence. Tax structure. Albania applies a flat income tax that ranges from modest to moderate depending on income brackets. It is not a tax haven. But the overall cost of living is so low that effective financial freedom kicks in at income levels that would barely cover rent in a major Western city. Now here is the serious catch. Title verification in Albania is absolutely critical. Property ownership records in parts of the country have a complicated history. Overlapping claims, incomplete registrations, and disputes that trace back decades are real risks. Anyone buying property in Albania without a thorough independent legal review and title search is gambling. This is non-negotiable. Hire a local attorney with verified credentials. Check every document twice. Lifestyle appeal is genuinely surprising, though. The Albanian Riviera is stunning, Mediterranean food culture is vibrant, and the country is modernizing rapidly. Tirana especially has transformed in the last decade, but Albania is the budget entry point, not the power play. The next country up blends affordability with a tax structure that makes accountants very excited. Number 3. Georgia, not the American state. The country tucked between Europe and Asia, sitting on the Black Sea, with a capital city called Tbilisi that has quietly become one of the most talked about destinations for location-independent entrepreneurs and investors. Georgia has offered a property-based residency pathway that historically was one of the most accessible in the world. Buy property above a certain threshold, apply for a residence permit, and gain legal footing in a country with one of the most tax-friendly environments on earth. Here is the tax angle that gets people's attention. Georgia operates a territorial-style tax system for individuals under certain residency structures. Income earned outside of Georgia can be structured to face extremely low or zero taxation, depending on how residency and sourcing are set up. For anyone running an online business, consulting remotely, or earning investment income from abroad, the math becomes very compelling very quickly. However, 2026 brought changes. The property threshold for residency has been climbing and is now in the range of around $150,000. A couple of years ago, that number was lower. The government is clearly calibrating who gets in through this route, favoring higher value investors over bargain hunters. Property in Tbilisi ranges widely. Central apartments in popular districts like Vake or Saburtalo can fall right around that threshold. Batumi on the coast offers different options with a resort town feel. Citizenship is possible eventually, but requires years of legal residency, language considerations, and a separate application process. It is not a quick path, but the residency itself is valuable because of what it unlocks from a tax planning perspective. Biggest catch? Politics. Georgia's political landscape has been turbulent. Relations with the European Union have been strained at various points. Internal protests have made international headlines, and the geopolitical neighborhood includes Russia, which adds a layer of complexity that cannot be ignored. Anyone considering Georgia needs to watch the political situation closely and factor that instability into the decision. For scouting trips, Sali eSIM is useful for landing with mobile data already active instead of relying on roaming charges. Link below. Now the list shifts. Everything up to this point has been about residency permits and eventual citizenship timelines measured in years. The next country offers something structurally different. Number 2, Panama. Panama is the heavyweight of this list when it comes to combining property-based residency with genuine tax advantages for foreign income. The pathway here is well established. Purchase real estate valued at $300,000 or more and qualify for a residence permit through the Qualified Investor Visa program. This is a real program, backed by Panamanian immigration law, with a clear application process and a track record of approvals. What makes Panama different from everything above is the tax system. Panama operates on a strict territorial tax basis. Income earned outside of Panama is not taxed by Panama, period. That is not a loophole. That is the law. For someone whose income comes from businesses, investments, or employment based outside of the country, the Panamanian tax obligation on that foreign income is zero. Let that settle for a second. Residency in a stable, modern, dollar-denominated economy, anchored by a property purchase, with no tax on foreign-sourced income. That is a structurally different proposition than anything Montenegro, Albania, or Georgia can offer. The citizenship pathway exists too. After maintaining residency for 5 years, applicants become eligible to apply for Panamanian citizenship. That unlocks a passport with solid visa-free travel access across Latin America, Europe, under certain conditions, and other regions. Panama City itself is a genuine metropolis. International banking, world-class healthcare, modern infrastructure, direct flights to major hubs across the Americas. The Canal Zone, the skyline, the combination of tropical climate with urban convenience. Cost of living varies dramatically. Panama City's premium neighborhoods rival mid-tier US pricing, but outside the capital, costs drop sharply. Beach towns, mountain communities, and smaller cities offer radically different lifestyles at lower price points. The catch? $300,000 is real money. Due diligence on the property, on the developer if buying pre-construction, and on the legal process is essential. Panama's system works well when handled correctly, but cutting corners on legal representation is asking for problems. Also, while the territorial tax system is powerful, it requires proper structuring. Anyone with complex income sources needs a qualified international tax advisor, not just a real estate agent. If you are visiting Panama before buying, Expedia is useful for comparing short stays across different districts. Link below. But Panama, as strong as it is, still requires a 5-year residency period before citizenship becomes an option. The number 1 country on this list skips that wait entirely. Number 1. Turkey. Turkey is the only country on this list where buying property can lead directly to citizenship. Not residency, not a permit, citizenship with a Turkish passport. The program is straightforward in structure. Purchase real estate worth at least $400,000, hold it for a minimum of 3 years, and apply for Turkish citizenship. Approval timelines have varied, but successful applicants have received their passports in a matter of months after filing. A Turkish passport currently provides visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to over 110 countries. That is meaningful travel freedom. And because Turkey allows dual citizenship, obtaining a Turkish passport does not require giving up existing nationality in most cases. Now, $400,000 is not cheap. This is not a budget hack. This is a significant capital commitment that happens to come with a citizenship outcome that most countries would never offer at any price. Compare that to Caribbean citizenship by investment programs that charge similar or higher amounts for passports with less travel utility and no tangible real estate markets behind them. Istanbul is where most investors focus. The market there is enormous, liquid, and offers everything from historic apartments in Beyoğlu to modern high-rises in Başakşehir. Other cities like Antalya, Bodrum, and Izmir attract investors who want coastal lifestyle alongside the citizenship benefit. Tax planning in Turkey requires careful attention though. Turkey taxes worldwide income for its tax residents. That means if citizenship leads to tax residency, the calculus changes significantly. Many investors structure their affairs so that they hold Turkish citizenship without establishing tax residency in Turkey, which is legally possible but requires precise professional guidance. This is not a detail to figure out later. It needs to be mapped out before signing any purchase agreement. The lifestyle appeal depends on where in Turkey the property sits. Istanbul offers one of the most dynamic cities on the planet, straddling 2 continents, rich with history, food, culture, and commerce. Coastal Turkey delivers Mediterranean living at a fraction of Spanish or Italian costs. The country has excellent healthcare infrastructure and a rapidly modernizing economy. Biggest catch beyond the price? Currency risk. The Turkish lira has been volatile. Property values denominated in lira can fluctuate significantly when measured in dollars or euros. Most savvy investors negotiate and structure deals in stable currency terms to mitigate this, but it requires awareness and planning. Also, the program's requirements can shift. Governments update investment thresholds, processing requirements, and eligibility criteria. What applies today may adjust tomorrow. Always verify current program details with a qualified immigration attorney before committing capital. For deeper country reports and visa guides, Horizon Insider is linked below. Here is the real takeaway. Property abroad does not always buy freedom. Sometimes it only buys paperwork. Sometimes it buys a residency permit. Sometimes it creates tax advantages. And in one country, it can still unlock an actual passport. Montenegro is the European Union candidate bet. Albania is the budget property route. Georgia is the tax structure play. Panama is the territorial tax powerhouse. Turkey is the direct passport route. The mistake is buying the cheapest property and hoping the immigration benefits follow. The smarter move is choosing the outcome first: residency, tax freedom, or citizenship, then finding the property that supports it. So which would you choose? The cheapest route, the tax-friendly route, or the passport route? Drop it in the comments.